Hello and welcome to In Focus. I'm your host, Yesenia Taveras. Zanthia Oliver is a native Wilmingtonian. She's a lifelong resident of the city of Wilmington, and she is the 3rd District Councilwoman. She joins us now to share a little bit about who she is as a person and also to share her initiatives as a council person. Welcome to the show, Councilwoman.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, you're doing amazing things. You've been doing amazing things here in the city of Wilmington. And let's just get a little bit into your beginning years. Like, I know you went to Howard High School. You grew up here on the streets of Wilmington. You have a huge family. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Okay, thanks again. I'm a Wilmingtonian. I come from a family of siblings, of sisters and brothers. I have 5 brothers and 3 sisters, so I grew up with a large family. We are originally from the east side. My parents are from the east side, and later on my mother moved over South Bridge.
Okay.
So a lot of people, we say we're South Bridgers. I just enjoy my sisters and brothers who have raised me along with my mother, and I just come from a strong family, a glue family. My aunt Alice, my Aunt Ruth, my grandmother, my grandfather, whole group of women, grandmother Lillian Hollis,
Okay.
Lillian Oliver. So a lot of women raised me.
And what was it like being raised in the city of Wilmington? What are some of the things that you've noticed at such a young age that now you're trying to address as a council person? Like, what was it? Take us back to that time.
Well, back then it was a community base. Everybody was close knit. You can leave your doors open. We would run around the South Bridge, and you run in one person's house, Miss Cannon's house, Miss Hicks's house, Miss Gibbings. I mean, it was just a close-knit family. Everybody were neighbors. You could walk in and out of everybody's house, and nowadays you're not able to do that.
Okay, so it really was like a village back in the day.
It was a village, definitely.
And your family's known to do a lot of public service within the community. Where did that come from?
It was just, I think it was just embedded in us. My grandmother ran for office. She was a community base. She owned a doll store. Both of my aunts owned their own beauty salons. My uncle graduated and went to the service and ended up being a human service worker, a social worker in New York.
Okay.
So my whole family's been into human services. Both of my brothers work with seniors, sisters customer service. My other sister, she works for Brandywine Counseling, and I have a sister who works with the city.
And how was it to see the service at such a young age? Because now you're doing it and you've been doing it, but just to be exposed to that type of lifestyle.
It was interesting. I mean, my brother Norman, he's been doing it forever. So I always worked with him with various contracts. So it's just in me, and it's in my family to do, just human service work. We just like giving back to the community. It doesn't pay a lot of money, so it's one of them jobs you have to like what you do.
Right, you really have to love it, and
Right.
it doesn't feel like work.
Right, right.
And your brother, Norman Oliver, he's done a lot within the community, not only as a public servant, but also as a former council member. So how did that role of politics play in your family?
Well, as I stated, my grandmother, she was into politics. My grandmother, Lillian Oliver, she ran against Herman Holloway Sr., which was unheard of back in the day. Okay. And we've always been taught to vote, get out there, stand up for your rights, take care of your neighbor. Like I said, my brother's been in politics for, seemed like all of his life. And just being with him and around him I was always working with him, so it's just in me.
That's right.
From having events over to his building.
I was going to say he has the Noir Enterprises, which you
Correct.
actually serve on the board.
Correct.
Tell us a little bit about Noir Enterprises, and also we'll go into you as an entrepreneur, because I know you have your own thing going on as well.
Thank you. Well, the Zandy's Inks kind of came in under Norman from doing various, I had so many teenagers, so we would have sleepovers at his building, sleepovers at the YMCA, sleepovers at Wilm Hicks Anderson. I was a youth coordinator over Wilm Hicks Anderson way back in the day. I won't even tell my age, under John Sheehy.
Okay.
So Mr. John Sheehy gave me an opportunity, and I was a youth coordinator at a young age over there, organizing females, having sleepovers, having pool parties, and preparing them for job development for summer jobs back then.
That's amazing.
Yes.
The William Hicks Sanderson Community Center really groomed a lot of us.
Yes.
I was a camp counselor there for so many years as well, and working with the inner city youth. You really get to see the impact that you make on their lives.
Yes, you
firsthand.
did. Yeah, Mr. Fisher, God, was so many of them back then, and them guys really cared about the community.
And why is it so important for you to make sure that you have that women empowerment and that mentorship to these young women, to these young girls?
Well, you know, I have a lot of nieces and nephews as well, but you see it's a lot of females. I used to work with the homeless population with females, and it's a lot of females, low self-esteem. So from a young age, you know, growing up in the projects and also in middle-class homes, it was always important to have some self-respect and believe in yourself. So I always try to encourage anybody, everybody, especially women, to, you know, take a stand and stand up for yourself.
That's right. And the greatest thing about you too, Councilwoman, is that as a politician, you are homegrown here. So it's kind of like you've been the seed that's been planted and you know what's going on here. You eat, breathe the problems that are going on here, and you really try your best to tackle them. And one thing that I know that you've been working hard on as a politician and even before becoming a council member is unemployment and helping those who don't have jobs, and really giving felons an opportunity once they re-enter the community to actually find a job and be able to pay bills and child support or any other thing that's going on in their life. So talk to us a little bit about that side of Councilwoman Oliver.
Oh, I used to work at social service. I worked at the Porter Center for years and also worked for child support. And I used to see a lot of the guys, I used to have to see a lot of guys go back to jail. After 30 days, have to generate a petition if they don't have a job. So I ended up leaving that job, and long story short, ended up working with the Addiction Coalition with Wendell Howe, who was a very good mentor to me. He's deceased now, but if anybody knows Wendell Howe, most of the older people or mature people would know Wendell Howe. He was the first black president of the school board here in Wilmington. He was one of the pioneers for desegregation, with school desegregation, I'm sorry. And he had a program at the Addiction Coalition, and what we would do was go to the Plumber Center and find individuals jobs, males jobs, mostly males, and do some training with them. So I would go over there at least 3 days a week and have to find them employment. And I mean, I found hundreds and hundreds of them in jobs. And one day the guy from probation, Ronald Beard, he was the director over to the Plumber Center. He said, Miss Oliver, would you mind working over here, because you found more jobs for the guys here than the counselors who work here. And I said, no, I like working with Wendell because I like to do my own thing, not to be in the office. But it was a pleasure to find a lot of them gentlemen, a lot of the men jobs to be certified, to come back in the community and give them some hope.
I was going to say, what was that experience like, or what is that experience like, because you're still working with this demographic?
It's humbling, and you know, everybody doesn't make it, but if you can help, you know, if I can help 2 out of 5, I've just had a great day. Okay.
And you also mentioned the Addictions Coalition. You served on the board for many years
Yes.
with them. What exactly else were you able to do with them?
Well, I worked with the White Holding, and he was the pardon parole pardoning. He was in charge of that. He worked here under Dennis for years. The White's a great guy. So I was able, even with him, all of it kind of connects, able to go out. And sometimes you're not able to find them jobs, but just support. Sometimes it would just be a referral. Most of them homeless.
Right.
I was able to find them a roof over their head. I would also work with connections, so I had a direct contact with Kathy and Danielle Brothers and a lot of members from Connections. So they had various homes. So a lot of them, some of them had mental issues. So I would refer them to various doctors. I had some doctors over there I had some connections with. And also I worked with Hanifa, president, over Connections when she worked there.
Okay.
So
I was going to say, how's your relationship been with President Shabazz?
Oh, great. We had I've been knowing her most of my life, but we've always both helped each other with, she does employment. And I do employment. So she would call me or I would call her and say, do you have a spot? Do you have a spot? So we've always connected, even if we were in different circles. But it was just that relationship about putting the dots together for individuals who need jobs.
And how important is it for women to have that relationship, especially when you're trying to advance in your career, just to have that support?
I think it's very important because statistics show that we as women are very catty to each other. So I try to stay above board. I try not to get into a whole bunch of, foolishness, to put it frank. I just like to do my job.
Right.
The people who voted for me, I like to support and respect my constituents. A lot of the other stuff I don't get into. That's just not my MO. I mean, I was brought up around a large family, so I'm used to a lot of, and so I can block it out.
You have sisters?
Yeah, I got sisters. We used to fight, but we love each other. So when I say fight, just have disagreements, not physical fights. So you can agree to disagree and just have a conversation, and that's just the type of person I am. So working with a lot of women, used to a lot of disagreement. But, you just take a deep breath and you remember how, and I mean, like I said, statistics show women are harder to work with.
And now on the topic of women and voters, we have the most historic session. We have 7 women on council, so congratulations.
Powerful. Thank you.
How was that experience to see women taking the lead in these positions and these roles that are typically by men?
I think it's been great, and I work well with all the council members, especially all the females, but all of them, not just females. But I think it's been a very good experience. It's new. When you're on the other side, it was different looking in, but now being in the seat, it's like, wow, it's really, it's interesting. But it's been an experience, and it's still new because I'm still a amateur. I'm still growing. I have a lot of growing to do. That's why I still meet with my mentors. I call up a lot of individuals who have worked in public office, and I ask their advice, and they give me some wisdom and encouraging words. So I don't have all the answers. I call my brother every other day. I call Honorable Ted Blunt a lot. So I'm in touch with Jim Baker on a regular. We go to breakfast, so I don't mind listening. That's how you learn.
And that's an interesting perspective because one would assume that within those 4 years you've been elected, that's enough time for you to get everything done. But talk to us a little bit about the politician side and exactly how hard it is to really push your initiatives and get things done within those 4 years.
Well, it's very hard because you still have a lot of constituents that's calling. You have a regular job. You just have some life experience because we're still human. I mean, you might catch a cold one day. Then you have family you have to look out. We look out for each other. So you still have some other things going on, and people think just because you're in public office and they see this title, and I never been once for a title to define me. I define myself. So I'm still Zanthia Oliver.
Right.
People call me Ampy. I see people and they be like, why she call you? What I mean, she must have grew up with me. She don't have to call me Councilwoman. I know who I am. I'm okay with myself. You know what I mean?
And you wear so many titles very well.
Yeah, I'm not like a stuck-up type of person.
And what made you run for city council? Was there something that you saw within the community that you really wanted to help be the change of? Good
question. I've had a lot of people always mention, well, you should run for office. I always like being in the background because I thought I could get more done.
Okay.
But one day I came outside and it was a gentleman had got killed on my block, a Benson guy, and I know his family very well. And something just ran through me, and it was a vacant seat. And I was like, this is just too close to home. Not only is it on my block, it's a family member, a close family member. We call each other cousins. And to see her nephew, his grandson, out there like that, it was just, I just couldn't get past myself. So I said, you know what? I called my brother and said, I'm running for office. And he said, whatever you want to do, and that's what I did.
And Councilwoman Oliver, that's a touchy subject because as you can see, the crime that's happening here in Wilmington, it kind of falls, the residents believe it falls on your backs, the backs of council members and the chief of police, and you have to have all of the answers. But now that you're in this seat as a council member, 3rd District, how does a council member really try to tackle those roles in regards to crime in Wilmington?
Good question. I think crime it's not just one person can tackle this. The chief, I think he's done a great job. There's a lot of work that needs to be done, of course. And it's just not here, it's all over the nation. It's an epidemic going around. It's the opium. I mean, I have friends that live in Smyrna, that live down Odessa, and further down Sussex. they done wiped us out. And I mean, it's a pill epidemic, and it's not just here. So I think that has taken over our communities, and it's not just one color, it's all colors.
That's right.
And I mean, I think I just live it, I see it. You can ride by certain areas that used to be prominent areas that you wouldn't even see people standing around or doing various things, and you see people doing things that they wouldn't do. So how do you battle crime? It's not one answer to it, and I'm not an enforcer. So we have people called like the Crime Stoppers and the non-emergency number 654-5151, just to call and see if someone identifies something that looks different. But I mean, the chief, how many places can it be? Right. So if you have a hot spot over here and a hot spot over there, and in one area in my district, in the 3rd district that I represent, it's it's not a lot of violence in it, it's a lot of laundering. Okay. So then you have the violence over here, you have the laundering over here, you have this over here, and you're like, how do you combine it all? And it's just no one answer.
Mm-hmm. And now as a council member, you have a lot of initiatives underway here. One that's been getting a lot of buzz is the Howard High School turf that's currently now going to be used for their football team and soccer team. And you're a proud graduate of Howard High School. So let's talk a little bit about this and why was it important to have that opportunity for the students there?
I think the first thing that was very important is because my mother graduated from Howard High, my uncle graduated from Howard High, my aunt graduated from Howard High, and my uncles. Most of my family, my Uncle Clemmy was a chiropractor. He went to school with Louis Redding, and they were all at Howard High. We talk about Lenny Williams. I know a lot of them guys, and Howard High was important in our community. It was the only, one of the only schools that minorities could go to. They used to travel from downstate just to come to Howard. I mean, a lot of important people graduated from Howard. So a lot of people are looking at the generation here. I'm looking at the generation now and thinking about the past, and I just thought they were, and I know they were deserving.
Right. And now the biggest problem that we're hearing from the residents is that they won't have the access that they always had at one point or really want with the turf. So how can you explain how that will work?
Yes, that practice field has been locked up. I checked the records, spoke to Senator Henry, who was the one who provided the funding. It's been locked up for over 20 years at least, and what it was, individuals were coming out there vandalizing it. I guess kids playing or whoever would be spray painting or whatever, and they just put a lock on and say, look, we want to protect it, so when the kids who use it come from out the school, it won't be vandalized, it won't be trashed, or maybe someone don't have nowhere to sleep, come there and and somebody has invested a little money. So it wasn't to lock out the community. And now you have Vicky. She's leaving and they have some extra money. And I just look at if we could save, it's a lot of minority males that's locked up or looking for jobs. And if we can save, and it's not just minorities, if you could just save some kids that's trying to do the right thing, let them have their feel. I used to be a cheerleader. So what, I can't pass the baton? I don't want anybody else to cheer. I mean, I'm not able to cheer anymore, but I still want to see the cheerleaders, the new cheerleaders come on. So if it's another group of guys, let them do that. We've had our day. Let them have their day. If they want a little feel and just give them a practice and keep them off the corners, I'm just glad to see all them young guys down there doing something positive. They could be out there on drugs. They could be on pills. They could be doing it's a lot of things going on with the social media. So if I see 20 kids, half black, half white, trying to do something right, let them have it.
And what was the goal? Because now the contract is for 70 years, and one could say that's so long. I mean, are things going to change throughout those 70 years? What was the goal here with that?
No, the contract, they wanted it for 70, and I was one of the ones who had it reduced to 40.
Okay.
And I think the goal was if somebody puts $1.something million into a project, they have a right to say, look, we just want to have not control of it, but if you want to use it, the community can use it. Met with Kevin Kelly. If they want to use it for some flag football, it's no limit on time. I just think what they were saying is like, look, since we invested in it, we just don't want everybody coming over here sleeping on it, spray painting on it. But if you want to use it for activity, nobody's stopping you. Call Kevin Kelly, you're going to use it for free. If you want to use it on a Sunday, that's where the income came in. Because if I have an event, and not to mention I was a promoter, I had all kind of parties. I used to ran Ambrosia's for years, which was one of the major clubs around here. And if I have a party on a Sunday, I still have to pay for security, for the police. She had her own security, but on Sundays, her security was off, and that's all they are saying about Howard. If you want to use it on the weekends, the security guy's in Howard, but he's off. So you have to pay the $55 or the $60 for extra security. So it wasn't saying because you want to use it and you guys want to use it, we're going to make y'all pay for security. No, it's the days that the guy's off.
Got it. And how about your other initiative with commercial properties?
Well, that's a biggie. I think with the commercial properties, not just in the 3rd District, but I know in the 3rd District is a big issue. It's a lot of raccoons running around, rodents. I had a possum in my yard. My God, I've never even seen a possum in my life. And talk about scared to death, but thanks to L&I, they sent their contract out. He put a trap out there. He put a trap. The next morning, I just peeked out the window, and because the guy who was doing some work told me it was a possum back there, but I was able to peek at him in the morning. He put some peanut butter or something, but so we got the possums, the raccoons, the mice. It's just a lot of trash, and not just that. We're messing with their habitat with all this building. Mm-hmm. So we have these animals, running around here, and have people calling me about their daycare, and then raccoons run during the daytime. I haven't seen one. I probably would just go crazy, but. Okay. I think the store owners have to take responsibility. I know in the 3rd District, I see little small trash cans. You're making all this money, buy a dumpster, put a dumpster, get out there and clean up in front of your business. Mm-hmm. I mean, I have a regular trash can at home. It should be required for them to have something much bigger. Mm-hmm. I shouldn't ride by the corner store and you see 3 bags out there, and then they haven't, the city Public Works picking up their trash, because then they confused. They thinking it's neighbor's trash, and I'm like, no. They're putting their 3 black trash bags in front of on the corner to make it seem like it's a house and it's really a corner store. So the initiative for that is all these commercial stores should have a dumpster or a larger size trash can out there, not just a regular trash can that we have at home or a recycle can. That makes no sense. So
is the idea of the ordinance to make sure that the responsibility is placed on the property owners to maintain their property and not leave the trash out?
Exactly.
In regards to
that's just what it's for. Maintain your property. We have a lot of rodents running around the city, and especially in the 3rd District. I mean, you ride by. I mean, don't take my word. Just trash bags. You come out the store, they're dropping the bags. It's no cans out there. Clean up in front of your business and be responsible for the maintenance in front of your business, because the trash is blowing in the drains where they're being clogged up. They're draining their people's basements. Mm-hmm. And I just think they need to be held responsible. And I think L&I needs to do more finding. If they find these stores, find the store owners. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're making plenty of money. And I just think that L&I is a little laxy-daisy on finding. They'll find me for my grass or an old lady for their grass. But how about checking on? Go walk in these stores and see what they're doing in these stores. Right. It's a mess.
And lastly, Councilwoman Oliver, you have started this Lady Days movie out with the young girls and women in our community and other politicians. Tell us, why did you start that, and what's the point of it?
Well, we were having some civic association meetings, and I have a group of friends that really support me. A lot of them live in the district, and some of them don't. But what happened, they said, well, look, at a civic meeting, they said, Zanthia, look, you do a lot for the youth, or you do a lot for this organization. How about doing something just for the women who just want to get out the house once a week? If you could come up with an idea and let us know. And I said, no, let's just think of something now while we're all here. And I said, what about the movies? And they said, sure. And I said, well, it's not going to be free. I know on Tuesday they have a $5 movie, so I can go talk to the owner down there, the manager, Tom. Okay. So several of us went down there, and he said, look, if everybody comes up with their $5, depending on how many, it might be 7, because adults, I think, is $12 or something. The movies are expensive.
They are. They've gone up over the years.
Yes, they have gone up. So he said, look, $7 is the limit for the price, because he thought I was going to have like 10 women, but it started.
It was so many a lot of people. Yeah.
So it started at about 60 of us, and now we have over 200. Last week it was, I think, 240 women. And so what they have done is, we have a group that have fish fries, chicken fries, hot dogs and potato chips. We have various events at different locations. some of them, sometimes they have it at their house. And Tracy Williams, I want to say Cindy, Sissy, President Hanifa Shabazz, I said Tracy Brown. There's about 5 of them who have really stuck with me, and Miss Johnson, Shelley Johnson. So what they have done is got together and did their own fundraising. So I go by, we pitch in, we have a little money jar. We pitch in. So when we go down to the movies, if some people want some popcorn or something, we have already given him some money to provide for the popcorn and the soda. So it might be either popcorn, taco, one of each with a soda. It's popcorn, because movies, as you said, are expensive. And it's a way for us to get together and stay updated on some updated issues, like the homestead housing. The president spoke about that. Senator Henry has came out and spoken. We have Kathy McGinnis come to talk about some legislation, and Mimi Brown. So Lieutenant Governor was going to make it last week, I think, with all the weather, but she said she'd be at the next one. And it's a way for us to get updated with collectively with all of us in the room. And the mayor has been there also. And he was trying to say his speech, but the mic was going down, but he was able to walk around and talk to some folks. That's
amazing. And I was going to say, how important is it to have that opportunity for most people who probably won't be able to buy a ticket at the movie theater because with inflation going up, a lot of people just one paycheck away from being homeless. But here you're providing that opportunity for them to see something that they've never probably would have been able to see, and also to connect with politicians.
It's a good feeling. If I had a lot of them, call me, come up, just thanking me, saying, look, I don't know the last time I even been out the house, I'm a homebody. I'm normally taking care of my husband, or some of them taking care of my kids. And wow, what a day just to get out without the kids, and plus get to meet some politicians that I only see them during election time. So I just always thought it was important, if I was able to win, which I did, to not just let them see me during election time. So I'm a busy person. I'm out there all the time. So this is a good way for me to connect with them, and not just a one-on-one. It's all of us together. So I walk around and talk to everybody. If they have an issue, somebody hasn't followed up in this building, they let me know, and they do let me know. And
lastly, before we go, what can we look forward to as Zanthia Oliver, the person, and Councilwoman, since we only have about a year and a half left? What's the future looking like for you?
Oh, I feel pretty good. I'm just working on trying to get some money. The mayor is going to assist, and the governor and Darius Brown, we're working on this legislation. We have over like 1,500 signatures for the rodents. That's one of my main initiatives, is for us to get the state to come in and wash out some of these drains and set some traps for raccoons. Because you have to be a specially trained person to know how to set the traps for raccoons. A possum is one thing, but raccoons another. So we're looking for some thousands of dollars to come in and help out Wilmington in general, because they're running wild because of all of this habitat, all this building. So I want to stress that we need this money. We need the politicians. Senator Brown is working closely with me on that to try to put some money, allocate some money to the city from Dover to help with all these rats, rodents, and raccoons that's running around because of the building up here.
Right. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
It was really good to actually see a different side of you and learn some more about you as well.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, anytime.
You did a good job.
Thank you. And more of In Focus when we return after these short messages.